The age-old question, Jiu-Jitsu or Judo? Which one should you be doing? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be finding out today in this episode of Fight Night. On the docket today, we have a Jiu-Jitsu purple belt taking on a Judo black belt, who also happens to have a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu as well. I'm sure everything will go just fine. But first, we have a purple belt versus brown belt round and much more. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is I, Jedi, your friendly neighborhood purple belt, and we have some straight fire for you guys in today's video. As you already know, I make these types of videos to show you guys all the smaller details that you see in rolling that are hard to demonstrate in a basic tutorial. Alright class, you know the drill. Get you a seat, grab you a cup of coffee, and let's dive into this lesson. Alright class, first up on the docket we have Mr. David hailing from Mother Russia. Now, Mr. Dave is a solid brown belt, and as you're about to find out, homie likes to play a lot of quarter guard and half guard. Couldn't possibly have anything to do with those thick-ass thighs, could it now? So what I will be trying to do is avoiding his strengths. Let's see how successful I am. For this round, we start off in the closed guard. Here he uses his hands to try to pummel inside of my grips to get dominant grips to keep me from breaking down his posture. So I swim my hand inside, grabbing his bicep and head, breaking down his posture. I then bring my knee in front of his arm and throw my top leg over his back, going into an omoplata attack. Here he grabs my ankle, looking to prevent me from hipping out and finishing the attack. He then lets go and sits back, giving me enough space to throw my top leg over his neck and try to pop up for a mounted triangle attack. However, this is not my preferred side for triangle attacks, and as I struggle to figure four my legs and make it tighter, he's able to turn to his side, relieving a little bit of the pressure on his neck. Here the attack is pretty loose, so I decide to bail on it and slide into side control, but as I do, he goes belly down and then rolls forward on his shoulders, putting me back in his guard. I immediately step over his bottom leg and base out to find my base, accepting his quarter guard and looking for a pass. Here he hooks my right leg, so I drive my knee to the mat and turn into him, looking to flatten him out so I can pull my leg out of his guard. As he tries to pop up on a takedown attempt, I grab his leg and frame on his head, pushing him back on the mat. I then drive my right knee across his diaphragm, looking to pull my other leg out, but then decide to slide through into three-quarter mount. From here, I'm sure to grab a tight crossface and drive my knee square up against the mat to keep him from pushing it back down into his half guard again. But if you've ever rolled with Dave, one thing you won't forget is that boy's got some thunder thighs. And right now, that's making my job of passing his guard a little difficult. So I decide to step up to his shoulder and grab my knee, isolating his top arm for an attack of some sort. But as I shift my way off of him, looking to lock up the Marcelo Plata, he's able to pop his head out, forcing me to bail on the attack, letting him get up to his feet. As he looks for a takedown attempt, I threaten a front headlock, so he decides to sit into guard. I immediately grab his shoulder and leg, sidestepping his guard, locking up a Kimura attack and getting the tap. Here we restart in close guard again. I'm not the biggest fan, honestly, so I grab his wrist, post on his hips, and peace out of there. I then use a collar and an elbow tie to pull myself into butterfly guard and work a little bit of open guard. As he drops to one knee looking for a smash pass, I use a 2-on-1 on his right arm to pull myself up at an angle, and as we both stand up, I go for a front headlock attempt right as the timer goes off. And welcome to Move of the Week. Today we're going to be taking a look at my old reliable, my bread and butter, the butterfly sweep. Now I like to go for this sweep from the overhook instead of the underhook position. It's a little more high percentage. A mistake that a lot of people make is pulling their opponent's weight on top of them. This is not really what you want to do. Yeah, duh, right? What I like to do from here is grab my opponent's gi with the overhook. This allows me to drive pressure into them with my overhook, preventing them from driving their weight into me and flattening my shoulders on the mat. I then fall to my side, grab the wrist to chop out their base and come up on top. And if they counter by stepping out with their leg, I use my bottom foot to trip them forward and come up on top, getting the sweep anyways. Another trick that I'm fond of is baiting them to post out with their arm, scooping it up and switching my hips to the other side, using my guard to extend their body and finish the inverted armbar. And of course, for those of you feeling extra fancy, once you go for the attack, you can drive your top knee across their head and immediately swim for the armbar, finishing that way. Anyways, that's it for Move of the Week. Smash like, subscribe. Let's get back to the video. And next up on the docket is someone you've seen before quite a bit, actually, Mr. Alex. You already know Mr. Alex, solid purple belt, thin but wiry, fun rolls. Let's get into it. Here Alex is playing a little bit of open guard, so I bring my hands to his hips to flatten him on the mat and step into his quarter guard. I then grab his arm and pin it to the mat to keep him from popping out to my side with an underhook. After a little bit of grip fighting, I shoot an underhook with my right arm and drop my head to the mat, keeping him from hipping into me. I then grab his elbow and kick his legs apart, allowing me to slide through into side control. I then walk my hips into his, pointing them away from him, taking away his power to turn into me. Here I go into knee on belly while keeping my weight low and driving into him. This is a good habit to have for all you competitors, as knee on belly is worth 2 points. I then slide my leg over, going into full mount and drive my hips low. From here I like to scoop my opponent's hips with my feet. This is a good way of keeping them from putting you in their half guard. Here I think about transitioning into S mount, but he pulls his elbow down to the mat, forcing me to go back into mount. I then pin his arm to the mat again, looking for a Kimura attack, and as I try to backstep into side control, he locks my leg in between his, putting me in his half guard. He then pummels an underhook and looks to come up for a sweep, so I switch my hips, get a crossfade driving him back to the mat, but this gives him enough space to slide his bottom knee through and put me in his closed guard. I immediately get up to my feet and peel his legs apart. As I look to step past his guard, he puts my right leg in his half guard. So I get low, driving my shoulder and right knee into him. I then underhook his legs to flatten him on the mat, bringing my left elbow high into his armpit and laying on him to flatten him out on the mat, and bringing my arm out from in between his legs, avoiding the reverse triangle attack. From here I push on his top knee, walk my legs into him to straighten his leg, and backstep into side control, using my arm to block his hips, keeping him from turning into me. As I look to attack his arm, he bridges, throwing his leg over, looking to invert. As I circle around, he tries to roll into me, so I hook his right leg with mine and hit a shoulder roll, looking to take his back. But he's able to get his shoulders to the mat and hook my leg, so I pummel my left leg in between his to avoid any leg locks. I then hit a very unusual sequence, flattening his hips away from me, hooking his head, smashing him flat on the mat, and circling around into side control. From here, I immediately go into a Kimura attack and start walking my hips into his shoulders to flatten them on the mat and get more leverage. He's actually got some really good scrambling from here, so I throw my top leg over his head to trap him and finish the arm lock. Oh hey there, it's me, Classy Gentleman, 42069. If you would like to be a classy gentleman, just like myself, head on over to xmartial.com. On there you can find gear for both no-gi and mixed martial arts that is both high quality and affordable. You could also choose to be a rootin', tootin', badootin', redneck. And for all you coffee heads out there, I got you as well. You can't call yourself a true coffee head if you don't have this bad boy, can you now? Check the link in the description for more, and for viewers of this channel, you get a special 10% discount at checkout when you use the code JEDI. Alright, shield over. Let's get back to this lesson. Alright guys, you have heard of checkmate in 3. Well, this is back control in 4, white belt edition. First we have the failed arm drag, very nice. Then we have the arm drag to single leg and come up. Then we have the come this away. And last but not least, we have the grab, pick up, drop off, and dive in. Alright class, this is the moment you have all been waiting for. We have our Judo black belt, Mr. Alika. Now Alika has a black belt in both Jiu-Jitsu and Judo, so I have got my work cut out for me today. He likes to go for those hip tosses, those forward trips, and other Judo shenanigans. So I'm gonna do my best at avoiding that and seeing if I can throw up any offense.
Final round, fight!
And wouldn't you know it, here we're starting in closed guard. Again, he's doing a good job of keeping his forearms inside of my arms, lowering his head and driving it into me to make it harder for me to pummel my grips back inside of his. As I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of closed guard, so here I step on his hip and look to go 2-on-1 on his arm to clear it, but he pulls out. As he does, I kick him away and get up to my feet. After all, he's a Judo guy. Let's see what that Judo do. With an arched back, I'm driving my way into him by pushing on his hips. This is a great way of nullifying his hip tosses because he can't get his hips close enough to me to get enough leverage to go for those types of takedowns. With double wrist grips, I step behind his left foot to lock up a single leg attack, but he pulls off some Judo sorcery by switching his hips as he pushes on my head and sprawls out hard. Oh yeah, just look at that. I immediately turn to my side and push on his elbow with both my hands. This gives me enough space to pummel my butterfly hooks in and retain guard. I then frame on his head as he tries to go for a leg lock, pull my legs out, and get back up to my feet. Now all you guys be saying how great my cardio is, but right here, nah, your boy running on empty. I believe in you. Here I pummel both of my hands in between his, locking up the plum clinch, and sit down into butterfly guard. As he postures up, I kick him away and look to come up on a single leg attack, but he's able to frame it inside and stuff my head. As I put him in my half guard, he locks up an arm and guillotine attempt, but then bails on it since I do have a tight squeeze on his leg. As he postures up, I kick him away again. He tries to bull rush me, but I'm able to get my bottom leg underneath me and get back up to my feet. Here I lock up a Russian tie and use that to sit into butterfly guard. I then try to overload his left arm and cut some sort of angle, but he pulls back, so I kick him away. Gosh, where have I seen this before? And as I sit into guard, again, the timer goes off. Now right here, in case you couldn't tell, I'm pretty beat, but I know you guys want to see more, so here we go. That's right, guys, we're starting in closed guard again. I'll bet you didn't see that one coming. Here I'm framing on his neck and right arm, looking to cut a little bit of an ankle so I can set up a good attack. Here he lowers his head into me, so I grab it, shove his wrist to his chest, and throw my top leg over his neck, looking for a triangle attack. But here my hips are on the wrong side of his body, and he's still got a lot of his shoulders sticking through, making it hard for me to lock it up any tighter. So I bail on the attack and pull him back into my closed guard. Here I frame on his neck and step on his hip, looking to create a little bit of space. He tries to go for a cheeky little straight ankle lock, which I'm not having. And since he's being a little problematic, framing on my neck and not giving me an easy arm drag, I decide to frame on him and get back up to my feet.
Nope.
Since he has a really tight collar tie, I bring my forearm underneath his armpit to keep him from breaking down my posture. I then strip his grip, but he grabs my wrist and then switches to my head, looking to trip me over his foot, but I'm able to circle to my right and keep my balance. I once again enter the clinch, but this time with a low wrist and high elbow grip. I sit to my side, pulling myself into quarter guard. From here, I shoot my underhook low underneath his hips, and as I look to come up, he tries to reverse me, but this time I've got heavy hips and solidify the sweep. Since he has double overhooks here, I decide to get up on my toes and drive my forehead into his face to put some pressure on him. And sure enough, it works. He lets go of the overhooks, allowing me to posture up and peel his legs apart. As I look to pass the north-south, he bellies down looking to scramble, so I circle to his back. From here, I lock my hands together and shove my knee in front of his hip, forcing him to carry my weight. I then circle to his other side, block his knee, and pull him to his side, looking to chop his base out. He immediately scrambles, and as I look to smash him in side control, he's able to put my left leg in his half guard. But since my knee is pointed up, I'm able to push down on his legs and drive my knee across, going into 3/4 mount. I know the round's almost over, so I'm looking to isolate one of his arms, but as soon as I adjust, the timer goes off. Oh, it's you again. Well, that video went by pretty quick. I would love to hear about your thoughts on it down in the comments below. If you have any tips that you want to throw your boy's way to help me improve my judo, let me know. I'm all ears. Now, as most of you already know, I post a video every single Friday. Last Friday's video was going to be a fun video where I was breaking down one of the old school UFC fights. Unfortunately, when I uploaded it, the UFC copyright claimed it. And generally, when that happens, all that means is that the claimant is just gonna take away all your ad revenue, but you can still post the video. But in this case, the UFC hard blocked it worldwide. Now, some of you have suggested that I start a Patreon and host the video on there. That is something that I have thought of before. I've thought of starting a Patreon or even a second channel where I can make videos that are more random, less related to jiu-jitsu, for all you guys that just want to see more of my face. However, your boy is working a full-time job, so at the moment, I simply don't have the time for this YouTube channel and a Patreon or a second channel, but be sure to stay tuned for that. Anyways, that's it for the video. I appreciate you for sticking around all the way until the end. Be sure to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you've been lurking around the channel for a minute, why don't you go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell. Like I said, I post a new video every Friday that you don't want to miss. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, head on over to Instagram, Jedi_himself. I like to post fun videos on there every now and then. I will talk to all of you in the next video. Stay consistent, and you can do anything you set your mind to. Peace.